Hello, everyone. My name is Zapata Macareno, and this is my project for Intro to Psych at UCR. My topic that I chose to work on is taste and smell. Starting off with the introduction, taste and smell are two components of the five senses. These senses are a part of sensation. Sensation is ability to feel things. Taste may also be known as gustation, and smell can also be known as olfaction. How do we smell? When you smell something, your nose and brain are working together to make sense of the many tiny molecules or chemicals that are floating around in the air. The sense of smell also relates to taste. This is because smell helps us taste food, and that is why you can't taste anything or food may taste bland whenever your nose is blocked when you're sick or may have a sinus infection. Moving on to the steps of how we smell. Starting off with step number 1, which is air filtration. Air first enters your nose through your nostrils. This air then passes through small hairs in the nasal cavity or the space inside your nose that clean and filter this air. In addition, the nasal cavity is covered by a mucous membrane, which helps keep it moist. Moving on to step number 2, the olfactory membrane. Next, the filtered air then reaches the olfactory membrane. Millions of nerve cells called olfactory sensory neurons are located here. These cells allow one to capture specific odor molecules due to the many different types of odor receptors. Moving on to step number 3, neural activity. In a nutshell, a combination of neurons are activated, which then send a coded message to the brain when you smell something. The brain then recognizes the message and reacts to the smell. Moving on to taste. How do we taste? Taste is the ability to detect the flavor of substances such as food minerals and various chemicals. It is one of the five senses of the human body. Humans receive taste through sensory organs called taste buds, which are concentrated on the top of the tongue. However, there are 5 different taste qualities. There is bitterness, sourness, sweetness, saltiness, and umami. In addition, temperature and texture also contribute to how we perceive taste as well. Moving on to step-by-steps of how we taste. Starting off with step number 1, the taste buds. Taste buds cover your tongue and have a life cycle of 10 days to 2 weeks. Taste buds are small groups of cells that contain sensory cells. To break it down even more, these sensory cells have finger-like projections called taste pores, which help analyze and detect taste molecules that fall into them. Moving on to step number 2, the taste receptor cells. The sensory cells in taste buds are called taste receptor cells, or TRCs for short. TRCs change proteins in their walls when stimulated by taste molecules, which then causes them to release chemical messengers, or messages. Moving on to step number 3, nerve cells. The chemical messengers or messages then cause other nerve cells to activate, which then send signals to the brain through 3 cranial nerves. These are the facial, which provides most of the tongue's sense of taste and is responsible for taste on the front part of your tongue. The glossopharyngeal nerve helps with swallowing and tasting. And lastly, the vagus nerves, which helps carry information from the back part of the mouth. Continuing on with the step-by-steps of how we taste. Step number 4, the thalamus. Impulses from the cranial nerves then travel to the thalamus, which is your body's information relay station, which then relays the information to other parts of the body. Other parts of the brain. Moving on to step number 5, the gustatory cortex. The relayed information then makes its way to the gustatory cortex. This is a region of the cerebral cortex, or the outer layer of your brain surface, which is located on top of the cerebrum, that allows us to consciously identify different tastes. In conclusion, taste and smell are chemical senses that work together to help us recognize and enjoy flavors. When we smell, air passes through the nose, then stimulates the olfactory nerve, which contains neurons that then send electrical impulses to the brain. The brain then recognizes the odor. When we eat or drink or taste, molecules are released that stimulate receptors in the mouse's taste buds, which contain millions of receptor bearing bearing cells. The receptors send messages to the brain, which combines the information from smell and taste to help us identify flavors. This is my project, and thank you so much for listening. Oh, and I got my slides from Canva. Once again, thank you so much for listening. Bye.